When I was a kid, there was a question that kept bothering me, a question that nobody seemed to answer. Every morning I would see people rushing to work. Some looked tired, some looked stressed, some looked like they were carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders. And every evening they came home exhausted. Then the next day, they did it all over again. I remember sitting by the window one afternoon, watching the traffic outside, and I thought, why does everyone spend their whole life chasing money? Nobody around me seemed to ask that question. People would say things like, study hard, get a good job, work harder than everyone else. But something didn't make sense. If working hard was the secret, why were some of the hardest working people I knew still struggling? Why was the construction worker sweating under the hot sun not rich? Why was the shop owner working 14 hours a day still worried about bills? The more I thought about it, the more confused I became. Then one day I met two people, not superheroes, not billionaires, just two ordinary men. But they saw money in completely different ways. The first man looked at money like a reward. Work harder, earn more, save more, repeat. The second man looked at money like a tool, a worker, something that could be trained and put to work. I didn't understand what he meant. How could money work? Money doesn't have hands. Money doesn't have legs. Money can't wake up in the morning and go to work. At least that's what I thought. One evening I asked him, why do some people seem to get richer without working harder? He smiled, then pointed toward a busy street. Hundreds of people were rushing home. Look carefully, he said. What do you see? I see people going home after work. He nodded. And tomorrow? They'll go back to work. And the day after? The same. He smiled again. Then he said something I would never forget. Most people spend their lives working for money. I stared at him. So what's the alternative? He leaned forward. The question isn't how hard you work. The question is whether the money you earn starts working for you. I didn't fully understand, but I was curious, very curious. So he gave me an example. Imagine two people, both earn the same salary. The first person spends every dollar the moment it arrives. The second person uses part of that money to build something. Maybe a business, maybe an investment, maybe something that earns money while they're sleeping. 5 years pass, 10 years pass, 20 years pass. Now their lives look completely different. Not because one worked harder, but because one spent years building workers. Invisible workers. Workers called money. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about it. What if wealth wasn't about working more hours? What if wealth was about building something that continued producing value long after the work was done? For the first time in my life, I started seeing money differently. Not as something to chase, but as something to understand. And that was the beginning of a journey that completely changed how I thought about work, income, and financial freedom. In the next episode, I'll share the lesson that surprised me the most. Why some things people call assets might actually be holding them back.